doing to try to continue to keep our river clean and healthy for the wildlife that survive there and call it home. Also, Kane County is instituting a new safety alert system for those of you who live in Kane County. This is going to be really important to you. It's going to be much more high tech, and it's going to cover everything from severe weather to road closures. So we'll be talking to them about that and what this means for you as well. And also a very interesting story to tell you about. Cook County Sheriff's going to be talking to us about this huge coffee bust that they made after getting a tip. About $100,000 worth of coffee. That's a lot of coffee, you're saying, right? So we're going to find out exactly how they got this tip, where the coffee was supposed to be headed to, and what happens next. And if this is something that we're seeing more of as a result of some of the tariffs that have been put into place that have driven prices even higher and made different items even more in demand. But let's go back to what I talked about at the top here, and that is the Wild River resolutions. Okay, what's your New Year's resolution? I don't really make them, but I do have some things that I'm thinking about. But I love this because I am a huge fan of the Chicago River and a big fan of the Friends of Chicago River. They are doing a lot to try to make sure that the wildlife that call that area home and the plants were able to be safe and stay safe. And so they've got this fun thing they're doing that they're trying to get all of us involved in. So joining us right now is the executive director of the Friends of the Chicago River, and that is Margaret Frisbee. Margaret, thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays to you. Okay, Margaret, I think we have you on mute. So let's see if you can click yourself on and then we can hear your voice.
There we go. Let's try it again. Thank you for having me. I'm just thrilled to be here. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays to you. So exciting. Okay, Friends of the Chicago River. Before we get into what you guys are doing exactly, explain to people who aren't familiar with your organization, what is the Friends of the Chicago River?
Thank you. I will. So Friends of the Chicago River is an organization that was founded in 1979 to restore and to protect the Chicago and Calumet River system. So 156 miles of waterway that used to be fenced off and so polluted, and now is teeming with wildlife and people using the river. So we're really proud of all the progress we've made at Friends and all of our partners who've been on the journey with us.
Yeah, and that's what's even more fun about this too, is because the time that you have been really a big part of this, you guys have already made a big difference. And you're trying to do more in the future. So let's talk about the Wild River resolutions. Love this idea. Explain to people how it works and how everybody can get involved.
So at Friends of the Chicago River, one of the things that we think is so exciting to people and really helps them connect with the health of the river is its wildlife. There's nearly 80 species of spitfish, up from 7 in the 1970s. There's all kinds of birds. There's beavers, muskrats, turtles. And when we talk about wildlife, people get excited and they kind of have this aha moment that the river is alive. So this year we thought, everyone talks about resolutions and what you should do. And we thought, well, what if we had these wild river resolutions? And we work together to educate people about different animal species so that they are learning something specific about water quality or access or connectivity as it relates to wild. So it's really showcasing 12 different species, one a month for the whole year, to engage people on the recovery that's underway and the needs of these wild creatures that for the future.
I love it. I'm kind of thinking of it as a yearly advent calendar, because every month, as you said, you have a different species. So I want to start with January, because this is also your success story. And January involves the river otter. So tell us about this and why the river otter has kind of become an ambassador for you guys.
So river otters are a pinnacle species who really, much like the river system itself, it's a comeback story. So river otters were basically extirpated from the state, meaning they were gone, they were hunted, they were trapped. People killed them for their fur, and they were. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources started doing restoration projects of reintroducing river otters, and the Chicago-Calumet River system used to be, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, would have been a terrible home for river otter. The water was polluted. There wasn't really any food sources. So the fact that there's river otters back here means that we've got clean water, we've got healthy habitats, and we have plenty to eat. And so they're this charismatic fauna that can thrive here because of all the work that we've done.
Wow. So if I take a boat on the river, the Calumet River, the Chicago River, can I look around and see a lot of river otters? How do you find them?
Well, river otters are tricky. They're not the most present animal. They are out there. We know we work with the Forest Preserve District of Cook County and their scientists, and they've done a lot of otter tracking. And so we know that they're out there. There's, you can see places where there's piles of shells where they've been eating mussels. You can see places where they slide down the riverbanks into the water, but it's probably unlikely unless you know really what to look for that you would see an otter. What you would see is turtles. You'd see bats. You'd see, if you're fishing, you'll see channel catfish. Those are some of the other species that we're talking about here. And so if you're out on the river, you'll see black-crowned night herons, again, a state endangered bird who is thriving on the Chicago-Calumet River system because there's plenty of fish for them to eat, much like osprey, another charismatic species that was endangered and has made this terrific comeback and is back in our region because of the work of Friends of the Chicago River and our partners.
So we're not going to go through each month, but there are some fun little factoids as I was looking at this that I wanted to discuss with you. I want to go to February, though, because that's the channel catfish. And I understand that the Department of Natural Resources, with their help, that you guys were able to install more than 400 channel catfish nesting cavities. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that was a terrific project that we did together. We work a lot with the fishery biologists from the different state agencies and county agencies. And we came up with this idea that the river system, in its natural state would have been meandering. There would be downed logs. There would be places in the riverbanks where it would be hollowed out from the current. And that kind of habitat, while still available in many places, in the places where there's shipping and it's commercial navigation waters, there's really not places for that kind of habitat. And channel catfish are interesting because male channel catfish actually guard their eggs. And so, but they need those crevices, they need those down logs. So we created these tubes out of permeable concrete that were meant to mimic channel catfish nesting cavity habitat. And we put 400 in the river. There's 150 in the North Shore Channel in the North Branch, and the balance, 250 in the North Shore Channel, and then 150 in the Little Calumet River. And that's creating channel catfish nesting habitat. And then we also released 277,000 channel catfish to populate the river system and help bring that species back to life.
Is that something people can fish when they go out to the Calumet and Chicago River?
That's right, they can. And in fact, there are basin surveys done by the Department of Natural Resources and also by the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And they would actually measure and see the change in success. And so what we're seeing with fish species is overall there's a greater number of species, as I mentioned earlier, but also greater abundance. And so the work that we're doing is actually contributing to an increase in fish presence so people can fish them or just enjoy the fact that they know they're there.
Very cool. I'm curious, out of all the 12 that you guys have, is there one that you feel that is your favorite, and why would that be?
So I'll be honest, the osprey thrill me because we actually had a baby fledgling chick banded this year that if it's a male, he would follow a female to another area when he matures and starts to breed. But if she's a female, she would come back to Chicagoland, and the local birders and forest preserves would be able to tell by her band number if she was a chick that was raised on one of the nesting platforms we installed. Wow. But if I could do one more, there's also the blue spotted salamander, which is a really surprising creature for people who live here because they're a dark color, but they have these crazy bright blue spots. And so if you're in a really healthy forest preserve along the river system where it's hot, underneath or where it's damp, underneath logs, you might find these salamanders, and they're stunningly beautiful. And if you do find one, don't put the log back on it because the salamander needs to nestle themselves under it. But they're just remarkable and really beautiful part of our fauna in this region.
Well, something that stood out to me in the salamander was I read that you guys say never pick up a salamander with your bare hands and then rub your eyes. Glands on the salamander's tail produce toxic liquid. Tell me about that.
Well, I wish I was an expert in that, but I do know that what we recommend at Friends of the Chicago River is really just keep your hands off the wildlife. It's there to be enjoyed. They're living their own lives. We share this planet with our wildlife, and we want people to know that the river is alive, that the forest preserves are alive, that our parks are alive with wildlife, our neighborhoods are alive with wildlife. And if we all live well and share the planet and treat it well, then wildlife will thrive just like we can.
And I love this other factoid too. That was about the toads. And now, I'm on the river a lot in the summertime. I love cruising on, our architectural boat tours. I love them. I have a friend who's a docent, so I go on a lot. But I've never really seen some of these different animals and species that you're describing. But I found it interesting, the American toad, that apparently they are plentiful out there as well. Toads can't use their tongues to swallow. Instead, they blink their eyes and backs of their eyeballs roll into the roof of their mouths, pushing their food down their throats. Wow.
It just tells you the magic of all the species whom we share the planet with.
Right.
Just really remarkable.
Okay, as we're
And I'm happy
wrapping...
to take you on a toad tour any day you want.
Oh, definitely, yes. Okay, as we're wrapping this up, what do you want people to know about this? What can they do to help take part in the Wild River resolutions?
So we'll be sending out information on a monthly basis throughout the year, and we really invite people to get outside, walk in the woods, walk along the river, and sit still and listen. Mm-hmm. I think that's really what we're after, is paying attention to the fact that these species are here. And the more that we're all paying attention and understanding their needs, the better for the river system, the river's health, the city's health, all the communities along it. And so we're just really saying, take a minute for wildlife and ponder nature and ponder the planet. And have a great New Year.
I love that because it's such a beautiful area to go and just do exactly what you said. And how lucky are we that we have access to that. So thanks for all you guys do with the Friends of the Chicago River. Margaret Frisbee, Executive Director, thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Okay, we are keeping an eye on President Trump. He has had a busy weekend meeting with President Zelensky of Ukraine, but today he is meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. So let's go and drop in live and see what they have to say there in Florida.
You would have had peace in the Middle East because nobody would have been able, the Arab countries who have been fantastic, would not have been able to make a deal. If we didn't wipe out their nuclear, we wiped it out. If we didn't wipe out with our beautiful B-2 bombers, if we didn't, and we sent a lot of Tomahawks in there also, by the way, from a submarine.
And what about the pardon the president of Israel needs to give the prime minister?
A pardon? Oh, I think he will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and it's on. I mean, he tells me it's on its way.
Mr.
You
President,
can't do better than that, right? Please.
Mr. President, could I follow up on Venezuela? Was the facility taken out by the U.S. military, or was it another entity like the CIA?
It was well, I don't want to say that. I know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say who it was. But it was along the shore.
Mr. President, have you or anyone in your administration talked to Maduro in recent days?
Well, I spoke to him.
Recently?
Pretty recent. Reasonably, but nothing much comes of it. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you explain the importance
You have to understand what he's done. They've sent billions of dollars of drugs in. But maybe just as bad, they've sent hundreds of thousands of people in from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions and insane asylums. The drug lords, the drug dealers were all sent into our country. But think of it, what he's done. Tren de Aragua, probably the worst gang. They cut off people's fingers. One man made a phone call to complain about them. He cut off their hand. They cut off his hand. Don't ever make a phone call again. We'll cut off your other hand. After that, we'll kill you, they said. That was in Colorado. No, they sent in all of the bad ones. They sent in some bad people. And that to me was just terrible. And they send in drugs. Now, I will say this. 97% of the drugs coming in by sea stopped. We're trying to figure out who the other 3% are. They have a hard time getting people to pilot those boats. But 97% of the drugs coming in by the ocean, by the sea, by water, are gone. Every boat that we take out, we save 25,000 lives of Americans. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you. We're going to have a big meeting. And we'll see you in a couple of hours if you'd like. And if you'd like, you can come up and have lunch like you did yesterday. Would you like that or not? You want that?
Oh, yes.
Because some of them think it's terrible. It's a bribe. But, a bribe for $25, I don't know. If you'd like, you can go. And if you don't, you can stand in a driveway and melt. All right? But if you want, will you work on that, Margot? Yes, sir. Is Margot doing a good job?
Yes, absolutely.
She's a star. She's too nice. Her only problem, she's too nice to you. And you're not nice to us, but that's okay. Margot, take them up and have a beautiful lunch, and we'll see you later.
Are you worried that the strike, the alleged strike on Putin's residents could scuttle the peace?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good.
Russian officials
Don't forget, you know, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, you know, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they were offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it.
Do you
Do you
not have
believe
US,
that?
but don't you have
One
US
question.
intelligence services?
What?
Don't you have US intelligence services that monitor that region very closely? Is there any evidence?
Well,
that the
it
US
came out.
has-
It came out. Well, we'll find out. I mean, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place. It's possible too, I guess. But President Putin told me this morning it did.
One question, Mr. President. Can you expound on the importance of a strong relationship with the state of Israel? And Mr. Prime Minister, you called President Trump the strongest friend for the state of Israel. You've worked with numerous administrations, numerous presidents. Can you expound on that? What makes President Trump such a strong friend for the state of
What
Israel?
do you go first?
I'll say it again and again and again. We've never had a friend like President Trump in the White House. It's not even close. And I think you can judge that by not merely by the frequency of our meetings, but by the content and the intensity. I think Israel is very blessed to have President Trump leading the United States, and I'll say leading the free world at this time. I think it's not merely Israel's great fortune, I think it's the world's great fortune.
Well, I just want to say that it's very important who the Prime Minister and President of Israel is. We have a great relationship. It was an honor to speak before your leaders. That was a great honor for me. I think it had not happened before, or something they told me. But the relationship's been extraordinary, and Bibi's a strong man. He can be very difficult on occasion, but you need a strong man. If you had a weak man, you wouldn't have Israel right now. Israel would have been, you know, Israel with most other leaders would not exist today. They would not exist. And now they're stronger than ever. Yeah, please.
Are you going to ask Netanyahu to sign an agreement in Syria?
Well, I hope he's going to get along with Syria, because the new president of Syria is working very hard to do a good job. He really is. I know he's a tough cookie, and he's, you know, you're not going to get a choir boy to lead Syria. That's the one thing I would say. So I hope they're going to get along, because, you know, I dropped the sanctions on Syria because otherwise they wouldn't have had a chance. We want to see Syria survive. So we're going to be talking about Syria too. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. Go have a good lunch.
Thank you, Mr.
Prime
President.
Minister Netanyahu,
Thank
there is
you.
a lot of gaps regarding
You know, after you hear these things, I think better to quit now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Listening to President Trump and the Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu. They are meeting at Mar-a-Lago regarding what's been going on with the Israeli-Palestine issue. Just to give you a little background here, the Israel-Hamas truce, as you know, went into effect in October that ended that 2-year conflict that started after that October 7th Hamas terrorist attack on Israel. But apparently there's been a big problem with instituting the second phase of what the president wants, and that is what they're meeting and talking about today. And phase 2 of the president's plan basically would see Israel forces withdraw from Gaza and Hamas give up its weapons. But there have been some issues that have been slowing that down, and it has not come to fruition as he had hoped. He also met this weekend with President Zelensky of Ukraine. And when we first dipped in, you heard him talking about that he spoke with Putin this morning. So Putin and Trump, of course, have been talking about what's been going on with Ukraine and Russia. And President Putin is alleging that Ukraine attacked one of his personal homes with 100 drones targeting his personal home, and that it happened this morning. Ukraine is saying that is not the case, that it is a lie, that that did not happen. But you heard the president referencing that, and then he also said if it did happen, it was a horrible thing, but that if it didn't happen, he still has to find out exactly what's going on. So just a quick wrap up on what's going on with that meeting. It is 1:20 right now. We're going to take a little break, and Chicago Live will be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. It is 1:26. I'm Sylvia Perez. Let's head out to the New York Stock Exchange as we take a look at what's happening. As you can see, stocks are down about 222 points. This is the last week of trading before the new year, and the days leading up to the New Year day off at the stock exchange can usually be very robust. So investors will be watching these numbers very quickly to see if, in fact, the year ends on a high or a low note, and then to see how January is going to begin. 1:27, let's take a quick break, that is, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Chicago Live. I'm Sylvia Perez. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We love that you're here. We're bringing you all the local and national news that's happening that you don't always get to see on our newscast. So Chicago Live is where it's at, and we're going to fill you in on everything. And we're going to start this half hour with a really interesting story. The Cook County Sheriff's Department has confiscated 100,000 pounds of coffee that was stolen, meant to go a convenience store, and somehow ended up in the western suburbs. So joining us now to talk more about this is Commander Michael Ware. He is with the commander of the Organized Retail Crime Division with the Cook County Sheriff's Department. Commander, thanks so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Good to see you. Okay, let's talk about this. First of all, you guys received a tip. So start us from the beginning and kind of walk us through what happened.
Yes, so we received a tip from Travelers Insurance Company that they had a stolen load that was cross-docked. So which means that the bill of lading was actually cross-docked by a company that actually received the actual load from a legitimate company, and then they actually cloned the legitimate company to their company, and then they stole the load, and then they tried to actually demand the $100,000 from the actual coffee company to get their actual coffee back. And then once Travelers Insurance found out where the actual coffee was at, they contacted our organization.
So the people who stole this, they were trying to extort the coffee company to get their coffee back.
Yes.
Wow. So we're talking $100,000 worth. That's about 24,000 pounds of coffee, I see from the report that you guys put up. And this was headed to a convenience store chain that's headquartered in Pennsylvania. We're not familiar with it here in Illinois, but I understand it's the Wawa convenience store chain. So when you got the tip, and you guys went to this warehouse. Tell me what that situation was like. You've given me the first part of the story. Now kind of give me the next part.
Well, essentially, when we went to the warehouse, we explained to the actual owners of the warehouse what happened because they were victims too. They legitimately purchased the coffee and from a legitimate actual company. So they figured this is our coffee. We purchased it legitimately. They showed us the receipts and we explained to them the process of the cross docking. Yeah, you purchased it legitimately, but somewhere along the process, this coffee was stolen. And we're here to retrieve a stolen property, and with the insurance, and you can get the claim back, and you can get your coffee, you get your money back from purchasing the stuff illegitimate.
Okay, so they're able to get money back through insurance claims. This is interesting. Is this something that we are seeing more of? Is this an unusual thing? A lot of people are saying with the cost of groceries and everything else going up right now that maybe some of these items that weren't so hot are now becoming something people want to get their hands on.
Oh yes, but different trends in organized retail crime. We're saying with cargo theft and cross docking. It's not just going inside the store and running out of the store with smash and grabs. Now we send criminal organizations switch up the ways they do things now, and cross docking is just one of the ways to get that they're combating ways we got to combat retail crime now.
Yeah. I feel bad for the company, that the legitimate company, they thought that they bought this. Explain to me how this works. So people got their hands on this coffee somehow. We don't know how yet, or maybe you do. And then they sold it to this company that thought it was buying coffee on a balanced scale. So explain to me how that happened and what you know about that.
So it happens. So I'm the coffee company and I ship my load out. So you purchase $100,000 worth of coffee from me for your restaurant. And you order it online and I ship it off to you. So the bad guy in the middle of this, he clones your order. And he clones the shipping order, the bill of lading, and he takes the order in the process. And now he sends the order that he cloned to the driver. The driver has no clue. So now your order, instead of going to you, it's going to another location. And in the midst of that location, the bad guy sells your order into the warehouse that we recovered the coffee from in Melrose Park. So you never receive your order and you're out of $100,000.
Wow. So the people in Melrose Park who bought this, they were buying from what they thought was a legitimate company.
Correct.
Is this a company they have worked with in the past? Do these things happen sporadically and randomly like this?
Well, we're starting to send it out on a normal basis.
Why is that?
Well, I think criminal organizations are, it's starting to be a trend now with cargo theft and different things now. They send at, we've been successful in combating like fencing operations and things of such nature. So now they're changing the way they do things. Now it's not your normal brick and mortar fencing operation like your store. They're selling things online, or now they starting to steal things before they hit the store, or stealing whole loads of cargo. So it's different now. Now we combating like the cargo theft, operations, when they take things off the train. So it's, now we got to, start, combating the trends as they come along the way.
Wow, this seems like a big job. So my first question to you then is, do you know who's responsible? And if not, how tough is it to catch people who are doing this?
Well, it's extremely tough. It takes a lot of man hours, and it's a lot of investigative work. So like even in this case, we're still doing an investigation, and it's a multi-jurisdictional, multi-state investigation. It's not only Illinois, it involves different states. It goes across state lines. It's complex. So,
can you remember another situation kind of similar like this with your organized retail crime division that kind of compares to what you've discovered, or was this highly unusual for you guys?
Well, I hate to laugh, but just last week we recovered $500,000 worth of protein in the same amount.
Really? You mean like protein powder?
Yes.
Really? Okay. Tell me about that situation. What was that something else that you got on a tip?
Yes, the same thing. The company overhauled. They experienced the same problem with cross docking, and they reached out to us, and we did some investigative work, and we found a product at a warehouse in Bridgeview.
Were you able to put a dollar value on that like you were on this? I mean, protein's pretty
Yes,
popular right now.
yes, it was a $500,000.
$500,000, okay. And similar situation discovered in a warehouse. Tell me about that.
Yes, the exact same situation.
Uh-huh.
The company ordered the product the legitimate way. The bad guy found a way to clone the order and sell it. For I think he sold it for $500,000, and the owner of the protein powder reached out to my guys, and we did some investigative work, and we were able to find a product for him.
Wow. Well, congratulations for that. What do you want to say to any business owners or people who are watching right now? Is there anything that they can do to prevent something like this from happening?
Just keep good receipts. Make sure you do your due diligence on their behalf by which they do with their product and their bill of ladings and making sure everything's on a up and up on their end. And then I just want them to know when they contact us, we're going to do our part and we're going to do our investigative work to make sure that everything is good on their end, because I know it sucks, and it sucks on both ends for the customer and the business owner, especially around this time of the holidays. Many people ordered stuff for, gifts and presents and stuff like that. And to lose it, it sucks.
Yeah. So 24,000 pounds of coffee. What's going to happen to that coffee now?
Oh, it's returned.
It has been
the insurance
returned.
company picked it up. Yes.
Okay.
It's
The
returned.
coffee was returned. The protein powder was returned. You've had a good week, haven't you?
Yes, we had a great week.
Well, really interesting and fascinating. And I have to wonder, are these people who are doing the cross docking, who are then sending the products elsewhere and selling them, is this an international thing that's going on? Is this a national thing that's going on? We hear a lot about calls coming in for like swatting situations where people get false calls about problems at their home, shootings, and that a SWAT team comes in. And oftentimes that can be a call that was made from somebody in some other country. Is that the case for this as well?
Yes, it's a national trend. It's most definitely a national trend in organized retail crime.
Commander Michael, I have a question from a viewer who wants
Yes.
to know. Okay, do you remember those train yard robberies? That's what our viewer wants to know about. The train yard robberies that occurred. Anything happening with that? Is that coming to an end, or are you still in the midst of that?
Yes, I have a team dedicated to that, and we're in the midst of it every day. I send people out there my unit out there to handle missions with joint operations with different companies, different train companies.
And where are you with that?
We're making an impact.
So as we wrap things up here, I love that you're at the Organized Retail Crime Division and you're specifically focusing on an area that you apparently are now seeing that is growing. You told me about the protein powder. We're talking about this coffee. What needs to be done to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Or can anything be done?
Well, unfortunately, can anything be done? We're trying to figure it out on our end. It's complex and a lot of information sharing between state to state, department to department. We're learning as we go. It's new. So it takes communication on my level with different commanders, different chiefs, and at my investigators level, talking to different detectives. We're all sharing information and everybody's learning to combat this. As they change up the way they do things, we're learning on our level.
Well, Commander Michael Ware, thank you for your time at Cook County Sheriff's Department. We appreciate all you do and keep up the good work and happy holidays to you. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you.
You take care. It is 1:41 Chicago Live. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live, everybody. We are taking a live look at the Chicago Office of Emergency Management. We're waiting a press conference. It's scheduled to start at 2 o'clock because, in case you haven't heard, Chicago is going to be on the national spotlight for New Year's Eve. Big shows coming to Chicago for that night. There's going to be fireworks not only at Navy Pier, but also at the Riverwalk. So they are expecting millions of people to be converging in the city to take part in this. They have huge plans. And so the mayor is going to be joining city leaders for this New Year's Eve safety press conference. We're going to be talking about everything from closures to where to see the fireworks, the best place to see them, and how to get in and out of the city best. Is a lot that's going to be going on. That's happening on New Year's Eve. So we're going to go to that news conference right around 2 o'clock. But speaking of safety, for now, we wanted to let all of you people who live in Kane County know that there's a new alert system that has just been put into effect to help all of the people who live in Kane County. And Scott Bozecki is the director of the Kane County Office of Emergency Management, and he's joining us now to tell us more about what that involves. Hi, Scott. Good to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Happy holidays to you, Scott. Okay, let's talk about this. So you have a new system. How different is this going to be from the previous system that you had, and what are people going to notice?
Well, it's from the public standpoint, it's not going to be a lot different. From our standpoint, it's probably a better system, easier to use, and I think what's going to change is the public's going to get more messages from us because it's better, easier to use, and now it's updated, state of the art. So I think the public will see that they're going to get more messages, more tailored to them than they've been getting previously.
Okay, so let's talk about, for people who live in Kane County, is this something they need to sign up for, or is it an automatic thing because of the system knowing that they are Kane County residents?
So they need to sign up. It's an opt-in system, although we do have access to send through the IPAWS, the Integrated Public Alert Warning System, that's the system that we can send messages to. It goes to the TV stations and the radio stations, as well as wireless emergency alerts, which is your cell phones. But that's for the highest of emergencies. This system would also be able to give them information about traffic alerts, weather alerts, and advisories that may not be life-threatening, but still important information. So that's the difference in what they're signing up for.
So give me an example of when they would actually get an alert with the new system and how that alert would come in. What fashion, what form? Is it email, text? Can you explain?
Sure. The most common thing that they're probably going to get is weather alerts. These are automatically sent when the National Weather Service issues a watch or a warning. Those will be sent out through the various channels that we have set up, and that's probably the most common thing that we'll have. But also, if there's a threat to public safety, like an evacuation or a shelter in place or some other emergency that is life or health threatening, then they could get a message from us if they're nearby in the area. It's something that we can tailor according to where the location is, so we're not bothering people that are 20 miles away if it's something that only affects people within a mile.
Oh, so that's good. So it's very directional, like pretty exact in the areas that it is going to be addressing with issues. Not everybody in Kane County is going to get the same alert necessarily.
Exactly.
Okay. So also you have a mobile app for this. Tell us about that. How can people get that app? What's the name of the app?
The app is called Regroup, and the best way to get into all this is to go to our website, which is www.kcoem.org, and there's a link right front and center on that, and it'll tell them all about it and give them instructions to sign up and get the mobile app and all that. The messages go out. They can go out through text message, email, or voice calls, as well as the mobile app.
Okay, so they have several options. So when was this new system installed, and what's the first alert you've had to send out, if you've had to at this point?
The system is brand new. It just went live in December, and we have not sent out a real message to this point. We've been testing it internally for a couple of months, but we're just launching it now. And so we've not sent any actual messages yet.
What's your hope with this? Obviously, you want to be able to reach out to as many people as you possibly can. I'm not sure what the number is in Kane County, but what's your long-term goal with this?
We just want to be better at communicating with the public when there's something that's important to them. Previously, we of course use social media and whatever channels we have available to us, but that's not getting a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So we want to get more people when we need to.
What do you want to say to people who maybe have a loved one, maybe an elderly family member who, for instance, my mother would never be able to go online and sign up for this. What advice do you have for people, for the elderly people who may not have access or are able to, get on a computer and do these things? What do you want them to know?
Well, I mean, the best thing is have someone who maybe is a little better at technical things to help them get signed up, or if they need to, give our office a call and we can probably help walk them through it.
Okay, anything else as we wrap this up that you want to let our viewers know?
Well, just this really works the best if people sign up for it. So we're just asking for people to do that and get on the system so we can sign up for them.
Well, I think it's worth it. Then one more time, give everybody the website.
It's www.kcoem.org.
Very good. Scott Bozecki, Director of the Kane County Office of Emergency Management. Thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It is 1:51. Chicago Live. We'll be right back. Viewers know.
Well, just this really works the best if people
Welcome back, everybody. It is 1:57, and we're going to head back out to OEMC, where we are awaiting a news conference with the mayor and city leaders. They're going to be talking about emergency services that are going to be available on New Year's Eve and how we can all stay safe. Chicago is in the spotlight this New Year's Eve because of a national program that is coming here for the first time, and it will be broadcasting live, and we are going to have fireworks not only at Navy Pier, but also on the Riverwalk. So they're very concerned because we are expecting millions of people to converge. Despite the weather, a lot of people are going to be ringing in the new year here in Chicago. So as we take this gorgeous live look at our city, the Riverwalk will also be the spotlight. The fireworks will be going off there at midnight, along with the fireworks at Navy Pier. But then they're also doing some special programming before on the Riverwalk from 7 to 9 p.m. Art in the Mart, which, if you're not familiar with that, that is the big projection show that is put on the Merchandise Mart every evening. They're going to be doing their own show. It's a special audio-visual projection that night for New Year's, and the main stage for that's going to be located at Wacker Drive and Franklin Street. So I'm not so sure they're allowing people to actually get down to the Riverwalk, but if you stand by some of the bridges and if you stand along the side streets, you'll be able to get an incredible view, which no doubt is going to be a spectacular show. Again, we are awaiting a news conference that's supposed to begin at OEMC at 2 o'clock, and we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and bring that to you live. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. It is 2:05. I'm Sylvia Perez with Chicago Live. We are awaiting the mayor and other city leaders to gather at OEMC headquarters. They are holding a news conference to let everybody know about the plans for Chicago for New Year's Eve. As I said, Chicago is going to be in the spotlight, and they are expecting millions of people to converge on the city. So we are going to be hearing from not only the mayor, but city leaders, streets and sanitation workers, CTA, everybody who could possibly be involved with getting people in and out of the city of Chicago. And as soon as that news conference starts, we will bring that to you live. Sometimes they start a little bit later than we expect, but we know it's happening, and we will be on top of this for you. So let's take another short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live, everybody. We are taking a live look here. This is happening in Detroit. This is I-75. Apparently, as you can see, there's a multi-car pileup, semis involved on I-75, a snow squall apparently causing major problems there. Dozens of vehicles involved in this. You might have been hearing about the weather that we had over the weekend, at least in the Northeast, I should say. There was horrible weather that disrupted the post-Christmas travel, and that storm apparently has moved over to the Midwest, and now we're seeing some of the ramifications. This blizzard slamming the Northeast, moving into our area. We're taking a live look on the expressway I-75 in Detroit. We have not heard anything about injuries, but as you can see, traffic in this direction has come to a complete stop. We see there are still emergency workers and crews on the scene there as we zoom in here to kind of get a better look to let you know what's happening. Cars stalled. Apparently some have been out there for a little bit. As you can see, it is snowing, and that snow buildup just goes to show you how long those cars might have been sitting out there. Some already on tow trucks. Traffic at a complete stop. I-75 in Detroit. Apparently, this is as a result of hazardous travel conditions. We haven't gotten much more of a description as to what might have started this, but as you can see from this live video, it's impacted semi-trucks, it's impacted cars, and it looks like the traffic is backed up for quite some time, in the a mile or two, maybe more, and I'm sure it's only going to get worse as it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and in big cities just like Chicago, the rush hour traffic tends to start earlier and earlier. But this major pileup, have not heard any reports yet about any possible injuries or what the exact cause of this was, but it appears that it has something to do with these blizzard conditions that have moved into the Midwest. We have a little snow falling in the downtown area, but nothing like this, and we're going to be getting an update ourselves on what we can expect when it comes to our weather for the rest of the remaining days. Let's take another shot at Chicago's Office of Emergency Management and Communications. Looks like they're trying to get things moving. Mary May there getting the podium ready. We are waiting for the mayor and city leaders. We are waiting for people with CTA, IDOT, emergency management. They are going to be talking about the safety plans that the city of Chicago is putting into effect for the New Year's Eve celebration. This could be a bigger one than usual for us because a national show that will be spotlighting Chicago on New Year's Eve. We have had fireworks celebrations at Navy Pier at New Year's Eve. That's pretty common. And then the last few years, they brought back the River Walk fireworks, which are incredible. So it is going to be a spectacular evening of fireworks at not only but one location, but two. And then before those fireworks even start, the city is also planning on doing some other things, including starting an early Art on the Mark projection show so that people who are out there waiting for those fireworks to begin have a little something to do and to watch to entertain themselves. It's likely going to be a cold evening, and they are expecting a lot of people. And one of the things I'm sure no doubt they will be telling everybody is if you live outside the city of Chicago, to please make sure that you take public transportation, because it is going to be tough to get around, especially there are going to be a lot of closures, and we already have some major closures of bridges that are under construction, including the Lake Street Bridge that was recently shut down for 3 years. There's a couple of other city bridges. State Street Bridge has been shut down for a while. So in addition to those closures for repairs and construction, we also have closures so that the city can then kind of maneuver people around where they can and cannot go so that everybody stays safe. And it's not just the bridges that they're going to be closing, but there are also a lot of streets surrounding the area. The fun thing about some of these bridge closures is that you're actually, if you've been on the river and if you've been on one of our bridges, you know, depending on which bridge that you'll be standing on, you'll be able to get a great shot straight down the river as those fireworks go off. It is going to be an incredible view. So lots to plan, which is probably why they're running, about 14 minutes behind schedule right now. But we expect that they will be coming back to have that news conference for us. And when that happens, we will bring it to you live. So let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. That Office of Emergency Management and Communications news conference regarding New Year's Eve safety plans is now going on. Let's listen in to the mayor.
To ensuring a safe New Year's Eve celebration for our residents and those who will be visiting from around the country and around the globe. This year, Chicago is honored to host Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve 2026 on the Chicago River Walk, the first time in its history. This is a continuation of the progress that we are making as a city, and we truly are the greatest city in the world. Multiple Chicago-based artists, Nick Cave and Brendan Fernandez, will illuminate our art on the Mart at the beginning of the night. And there will be a number of exciting surprises for those who actually come out. The national broadcast will be hosted by Ryan Seacrest, as well as Chicago's very own Chance the Rapper, with performances during the live event from local talent like the chosen few DJ Mike Dunn, DJ Mike, but also we're going to have Jay Ivey and Shamika Copeland, who is an incredible blues artist. We are anticipating thousands of people from across the globe to gather downtown to celebrate Chicago's inaugural countdown, and we are prepared to welcome and safeguard those crowds. The city and our partners have convened 7 planning meetings dedicated to identifying best practices in safety, operations, and of course, execution. And as a premier destination, we are certainly adept at hosting large-scale events. Whether it's from Lollapalooza, NASCAR street races, to the 2024 Democratic National Convention and countless other conventions that we host year-round, Chicago is no stranger to hosting these large-scale events. I'm confident that Chicago's New Year's Eve celebration will be just as safe and successful as any of those other events. Thanks to the leadership, professionalism, and the partnership of everyone standing with me here today. The city will have outreach workers present throughout the Riverwalk to ensure safety and keep folks informed about access and transportation options that they'll have. Our CTA buses and trains will be free from 10 p.m. on Wednesday until 4 a.m. Thursday to help individuals move about our beloved city. Hosting Chicago's New Year's Eve celebration is a big moment for our city and another opportunity to showcase the very best that Chicago offers to the entire world. We welcome everyone to this celebration, and we ask and encourage residents and visitors who are planning to celebrate downtown to represent our city proudly. We want our young people to experience this event and the best of our city along with us, and we are encouraging families to make a plan with their children and teens. Parents, talk to your children about their plans and help them identify a safe place where they can go if they get separated from the group in a safe route home. Please be mindful that there will be a curfew in effect for young people aged 12 to 17. So in other words, if you are 12 to 17 and you are downtown past 10 p.m., you must be accompanied by an adult. As we close out one of the most transformative years in violence reduction in our city's history, we want to finish this year safe and strong. This celebration belongs to our entire city, and I want to again thank the leaders and partners who are standing with me today for their collaboration and dedication to making this event safe and making it possible. I want to give a special thanks to the women and men of the Chicago Police and Fire Departments and Emergency Management for hosting us today, and to all of the city workers for their unwavering service to our wonderful city. We look forward to welcoming the world to Chicago and to the year 2026. Thank you. And with that, please welcome our acting D-Case Commissioner, Deputy Mayor Kenya Merritt.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And thanks, Mayor Johnson, for the introduction. Chicago's first ever nationally televised New Year's Eve countdown is a powerful opportunity to showcase our city's cultural energy to millions across the country. This celebration reflects our culture and our community, and most importantly, our deep commitment to elevating local artists and the authentic Chicago voices. From the music and visual arts to the storytelling, this event is rooted in what makes Chicago one of the most culturally vibrant cities in the world. This year, Chicago's New Year's Eve celebration will take place on Wednesday, December 31st, along the Riverwalk on Wacker Drive from Wells to Lake Street. Portions of the celebration will be broadcast nationally during Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest 2026. As the mayor mentioned, this marks the first time in the broadcast's more than 50-year history that Chicago will represent the Central Time Zone, a milestone moment for our great city. It underscores the strength of our tourism industry and the role arts and culture play in supporting Chicago's world-class hotels, restaurants, as well as the entertainment economy. Celebrating New Year's Eve, Chicago style, means centering local talent as well as our local businesses. The live event will feature a main stage on Franklin and Wacker with multiple viewing locations via digital screens throughout the site and secured entrances at both Lake and Wells Street. Chance the Rapper will serve as Chicago co-host for the national broadcast and will perform live on stage ahead of the midnight countdown. But starting at 7 o'clock, Art on the Mart will present a special audiovisual program celebrating Chicago's iconic dance culture, featuring works by Chicago-based artists, as the mayor mentioned, Nick Cave, Brendan Fernandez, Wills Glass-Steagall, and Brandon Calhoun, amongst others. Musical performances will begin at 9 p.m. and include hometown legends, chosen few DJ Mike Dunn, DJ Mike P., multi-award-winning spoken word artist Jay Ivey, and blues vocalist Shamika Copeland. The evening will conclude with fireworks launched from bridges along the Riverwalk spanning from Franklin to Columbus, and countdown projections will accompany those from Art on the Mart. Gates open to the public at 5 p.m. A small bag policy will be in place. And if you want something to eat, food trucks will be available along Franklin Street from Lake to Randolph, including food trucks from Tasty Chicago, Soul and Smoke Barbecue, and Taco Motora, and many, many more. For those unable to attend in person, the event will be live streamed at chicago.gov/live, with portions airing locally on ABC7. DCASE has also worked closely with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities to bring on ASL access, in partnership with Max Mackey of Definitely Dope and Mosaico. Matt is a nationally recognized deaf performer who has performed with Chance the Rapper, and we are happy to bring this dream team together to help celebrate NYE access here in Chicago. For full event details and ongoing updates, please visit chicago.gov, again, /NYE, and follow us on all of our social media platforms at Chicago DCASE. Now I'd like to turn it over to OEMC Executive Director, Frank Velez, who will share more about the safety measures in place as we ring in 2026 together.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Johnson and guests. Good afternoon. I'm Frank Velez. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. I'm Frank Velez, the Executive Director of the Office of Emergency Management Communications for the City of Chicago. This year, New Year's Eve celebration will include fireworks along the Chicago River, at Navy Pier, and events citywide. The City of Chicago is advising residents and visitors to be aware of street closures, additional crowds, and increased traffic. Please plan ahead, and as the Mayor said, celebrate safely. OMC will monitor events citywide through our Emergency Operations Center. We'll coordinate security efforts and resources with the Chicago Police Department, Chicago Fire Department, city departments, and our partner agencies. We ask everyone to be aware of their surroundings and to report any suspicious activities by calling 911. Remember, if you see something, say something. We also encourage everyone to download Chicago's OMC apps for alerts, weather conditions, safety tips, and many more. The app is also available to Apple and Google Play stores. You can go download it by the chicago.gov/OMC. Residents can also sign up for the Notify Chicago alerts at the notifychicago.org. OMC will be monitoring the weather condition with the National Weather Center. Temperatures are forecasted to be in the teens with the chance of snow Wednesday night. We advise everyone to dress appropriately, warm layers, along with hats and gloves. As with large-scale events citywide, public transportation is strongly encouraged. Motorists should be prepared for heavy traffic and possible reroutes in the downtown area. There will be traffic control aids on hand at events across the city for direct traffic. Finally, I want to wish everyone a safe and happy New Year. And now I'd like to introduce Superintendent Larry Snelling of the Chicago Police Department.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, thank you, Executive Director Frank Velez, and thank you, Mayor Johnson. And I'd like to thank all of our partners who are here. These are the partners that we are going to be working with to make sure that we keep the city safe. From the Chicago Police Department, it's important that we point out a few things about safety and what the Chicago Police Department's role is going to be in keeping the city safe. First of all, we're going to be highly visible throughout the entirety of the city. We're going to make sure that we have sufficient manpower. We've already made provisions for that. This manpower will not just be in the downtown area, will not just be around this particular event. We'll also be at Navy Pier. We will also be in every single neighborhood across the city, as we know that New Year's Eve can be a dangerous time if people are not responsible. We ask people that if you're going to be partying and you're going to be drinking, please do it responsibly. Please do not drink and get behind the wheel of a car. As the mayor mentioned, that CTA will have free rides from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. Please take advantage of that when you can. We'll help keep you safer rather than getting behind the wheel of a car. We will have sufficient manpower on the CTA to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep riders safe. So throughout this city, the Chicago Police Department will be there to ensure that everyone is partying and enjoying themselves responsibly while keeping everybody safe. Now, there's one thing that I just want to make clear, and this is to parents. Please know where your children are. Please know where your children are. And I'll repeat that one more time. Know where your children are. We've had incidents where young people go into the downtown area, and we have a lot of young people who go down there to do the right thing, and they're enjoying themselves and they're responsible. But then we have young people who show up, and they're down there for the purpose of causing problems, disrupting and using disruptive behavior. Chicago Police Department is not going to tolerate that. As we've seen in the past, this has led to violence where people were hurt and even killed. Chicago Police Department will be on top of this. There will be no loitering in these areas. We'll make sure that we keep people moving along. Our officers will be policing responsibly and constitutionally, but they will also be on the lookout for anything that could cause anyone harm, and we will act upon it immediately. So we want to make sure that everyone is safe. If you are under the age of 18, you should not be in the downtown area after curfew without being accompanied by an adult. So please, once again, parents, let you know where your kids are, because our officers will be out there to make sure that everyone is safe in this city. Please enjoy your time out there. Please take care of each other. And as you've heard before, if you see something, please say something. If you need to call 911, please do so. We will be working with everyone up here, all of our city partners, to make sure that we're keeping this city safe. With that, I want to wish
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you, Mayor, for bringing us together as we prepare for one of the largest celebrations of the year. I'm proud to stand alongside our partners from the Chicago Police Department, the Office of Emergency Management and Communications, and the many city agencies that work behind the scenes to ensure Chicago rings in the New Year safely. New Year's Eve brings hundreds of thousands of people into our downtown lakefront areas and throughout our neighborhoods. The Chicago Fire Department has been planning extensively for this event, and we are fully staffed and ready to respond to any emergency in the entire city. This year, we are deploying additional fire, EMS, and command resources at Navy Pier, which traditionally hosts some of the largest crowds and one of the most widely viewed fireworks displays in the area. We also have enhanced coverage along the downtown bridges where synchronized fireworks are scheduled. Additional fire companies and EMS units will be strategically positioned to reduce response times, manage large crowds, and support our public safety partners. Our Marine units will also be staged along the river, ready to respond quickly if needed. I'd like to emphasize a few important safety messages for everyone planning to celebrate. Please follow all instructions from public safety officials on site. If you see something like they said before, say something or alert a nearby first responder. Dress appropriately for the weather. It is going to be cold. Dress in layers. Get warm while you can, and look for signs of frostbite and hypothermia. Stay with your group and have a transportation plan before heading out. And remember, fireworks are beautiful. When handled by professionals, lead them to the experts. I want to thank the women and men of the Chicago Fire Department, our firefighters, paramedics, and our Fire Prevention Bureau inspectors who will be working throughout the night to keep our city safe. Chicago is a world-class city, and when Chicago's fire, police, and OEMC and every other city department come together, our preparation and coordination are unmatched. We are ready to welcome the new year, and we are ready to protect our residents and visitors. Thank you. Have a happy new year, and please stay safe. Now I'd like to welcome up Mayor Brandon Johnson for questions.
Thank you, Commissioner, and to all of our leaders here. We're also joined by my Chief of Staff, Christina Pacion-Zayas. Since taking office, I've longed for the city of Chicago to be a year-round destination, making New Year's Eve a thing in Chicago. I want to give a special thanks to our acting commissioner and the entire D-Case operation to help make this come to fruition. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there are several publications now that have identified Chicago in the top 5 destinations for New Year's Eve. That has not been the case, but since we have taken on this effort to make the city of Chicago a year-round destination, I'm glad that we're moving in this direction. So with that, is Casio around?
Yeah. Testing. Okay. So we're just going to do one question to get to everyone. We'll start with Megan, and then we'll just pass it around.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Hi, good afternoon.
This could be for you, or this could be for Superintendent Snelling. Unfortunately, the violence after the Christmas tree lighting is still fresh in a lot of people's minds. Are there any lessons from those incidents that you're bringing with you into this New Year's Eve gathering?
Look, those acts of violence and terror that have disrupted our city and, quite frankly, set our city back, it's not only upsetting, but it enhances our determination to continue to get it right. I've had extensive conversations with our superintendent around not just our presence, but how all of our departments have to work together for ingress, egress, to be able to move people around effectively. Those lessons will certainly be applied to the New Year's Eve event.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
This is a big event, and I know that you and also the superintendent mentioned it, the curfew. But can you could be more specific, and also how many minors can be per adult, or how many minors an adult could handle? I don't know if you understand my question.
No, I do. As far as what the citywide curfew law that we have, is that if you are under the age of 18, as I expressed and as a superintendent expressed, they have to be accompanied by an adult. Now, in terms of how many children can be attached to one adult, I mean, I could use my time as a child care provider 30 years ago around what I think a healthy ratio is, but that's not something that you can actually legislate or relegate, quite frankly. So what we're ultimately saying is to parents, know where your children are. That's the most important thing. And if they are under the age of 18 and they are out past 10 p.m. without an adult, we're going to obviously have to hold those individuals accountable. We're also asking, parents to identify safe spaces for your children to go. And that's the message that all of us have communicated. And, again, we're confident that the measures that we've put in place have positioned us to have a successful event. This is an exciting time for our city. It's an opportunity for the people of the world to get another beautiful view of our beloved city. And that's why we need adults and parents to be that much more vigilant around knowing where their children are. And if they are under the age of 18, they have to be accompanied by an adult. Listen, I can tell you, for me and my wife, we like to be present with our children, but there's no law that identifies what a race. This is not a classroom, right? So we're just saying that parents have to know where their children are.
A question for Superintendent Snelling, if I might. Superintendent, we're looking at crime stats as you're preparing for trying to make New Year's Eve safe, but crime stats for 2025 have been rather good for Chicago. Homicides, shootings, and overall crime at their lowest levels in a decade, mirroring a trend that is being seen in major cities across the country. I'm wondering if maybe you and the mayor could both opine on this. What do you believe might be the factors that are helping drive down crime here in Chicago?
Yeah, thank you for that question. We'll pass it to the superintendent in just a second. Historically, the national trends, the city of Chicago has been out of sync with, where you've seen national trends where crime has gone down around the country, but that has not been the case in the city of Chicago. And that's why there's been an uneven element in terms of how we compare with our peer cities. Now, clearly, we are in a much stronger position because our reduction has been double the reduction than the national trend. As far as to your specific question, it's about partnerships. It's what I've said from the very beginning. The partnerships that we've established with the Chicago Police Department and CVI, we have never seen these two entities work together in the way in which they've shown up over the last couple of years. But it's also about making sure that we're making critical investments. So whether it's the partnerships or the investments, that's necessary. That's investments in youth employment, mental and behavioral health care, services and support. But it also means that we have to invest in the divisions of policing that are strategic. Everyone in this room knows my commitment to hiring and promoting more detectives. The superintendent could speak to this as well. I believe another 50 have been promoted within the last 60 days. So the key has always been partnerships and making those critical investments, and then ensuring that our police department is showing up in strategic deployments that allow for them to continue to help support our overall safety. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, partnerships, everyone working together across the board, internally within the Chicago Police Department, top-down leadership, intelligence-driven policing, a leadership style amongst our command staff, where they're leading from the front, and just bureaus working across with each other, building relationships with community members, which our detective division and our police officers are doing, and then officer wellness. When our officers are doing better, they do better for others. So we just plan to continue that through 2026.
How many more detectives? Did I get that right? 50?
That's
right. All right. Let me make sure.
Hi, Mayor. I was wondering if there's any way to quantify the difference between this year's New Year's Eve plans with the events, Chicago being a host for the first time, compared to years past, and what you may expect from the public in terms of coming downtown compared to years past.
Yeah, first of all, that sweater is pretty nice, man. I got to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Clocking that. I'll pass it over to our acting commissioner. She can speak to some of our expectations. What I can say is, though, and this is a true story, you all. So in 2023, the Bears had a game on New Year's Eve against the Atlanta Falcons. And I believe there was a major comedy concert that was happening at the United Center. And when I was sworn into office, we're just looking at the calendar and all the things that we have to prepare for. And I thought to myself, and I had this conversation with my administration, did anyone plan around the fact that we're going to have thousands of people downtown for a Bears game, and as well as thousands of people on the west side of Chicago? Was there any planning around that? And there had not been. And so that is what started to I guess, spin the wheel, if you will, around how the city of Chicago can become a destination for the world, quite frankly. Because, look, we always brag about the summertime in Chicago, but our winter months are pretty spectacular, especially when our teams are winning. And, I think our expectation is that the people of the city of Chicago will see this as a benefit and that will participate. There are a number of families who have already booked hotels to come downtown anyhow. And so this adds another component to what families weren't even anticipating. But Deputy Mayor, Acting Commissioner, anything else you want to add to that?
No, I'll just briefly add, as the mayor mentioned, we're looking for this to be an economic driver for the city for the winter season. So what's different than previous years is in the past, DCASE has traditionally hosted in partnership with all of our public safety partners here, fireworks along the river. Well, this year we're including artistry. And so we're partnering with Art on the Mart again to highlight and to showcase our visual artists here in Chicago. But we also have local performers. And so we'll have performers that represent all genres of music, some that originally started in Chicago. And so it's elevating the artistry that's here in Chicago, but also hoping that people will make an evening of it, that they will support our hospitality partners from restaurants to hotels. And we're hoping that this will be the kickoff to Chicago, again, as the mayor mentioned, being a winter destination.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for having us. Casey from Fox 32. Has the Secret Service always had this much of a role during New Year's Eve celebrations, or is that newer this year because of that national stage that we'll be on with the broadcast?
Well, our local police department have always works with the federal government, the federal entities, whether that's through Lollapalooza. We saw that with DNC. But Peter Vogel, you want to speak specifically to the New Year's Eve?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So regarding that question, as you know, Secret Service is under Department of Homeland Security, and for every event across the country, they analyze and look at every event, and this has been designated as worthy to get federal support. And because of that, we are here to help coordinate federal assets to support and cooperate with the CPD and all the other city officials. We've worked in the past with the Marathon, the Democratic National Convention, and we have a great working and outstanding partnership with the city and all the entities up here present today.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, sir.
How's it going, Mayor Johnson?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm well. A question, a little more detail, if I may, about safety on the CTA. Obviously, the public safety situation on trains and buses has been very much in the news lately. If you or the acting president of CTA could talk about the planning that went into the safety plan for trains and buses around the New Year's holiday in light of recent communications from Washington.
Yeah, well, it certainly has, Washington does not dictate how we show up for the people of Chicago. So I just want to make that point clear, and safety, of course, is our top priority on the CTA as well as within our neighborhoods. I'll give a space for Nora, and the superintendent can speak to some of the specific plans that we do have, but again, safety is our top priority. Nora, superintendent, you can follow her.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for the question. Our planning for New Year's Eve really comes out of our long-standing practice of planning for special events in the city. CTA successfully executes moving people around the city with special events throughout the entire year. At the foundation of that certainly is our strong partnership with the Chicago Police Department, with OAMC, with the other partners that you see up here. But we have a strong record of executing from a security and service perspective for special events, and that's what we've planned and employed here.
Thank you. Superintendent, you want to add anything?
Thank you, Nora. And just to follow up with that, we communicate on a regular basis, Nora and I, and we're looking forward to the upcoming year and how we can continue to coordinate to address any problems that are happening on the CTA. As I told you before, we're going to make sure, especially when we know ridership is up and we have these types of events that are occurring, that we have enough manpower on the CTA to do everything we can to keep people safe. Obviously, we can't be every single place all the time, but we can put plans in place to bring down crime and make people feel a lot safer about using public transportation.
Superintendent Snelling, good afternoon. Sam here. You've said 3 or 4 times, the city wants parents to be aware of where their kids are. I'm just curious, are there any accountability measures in place now for parents who don't know where their kids are?
Well, look, if you're asking, whether or not there's a specific law that addresses parents who may not know where their child is and there's something that happens that's disruptive, I don't believe there's any legislation on the books there. What we're simply saying is, and the message is pretty straightforward, we're asking parents who may not be as diligent as most parents already are to just know where their children are. And there are spaces where children can go, throughout the city of Chicago to bring in the new year. And if they're going to be downtown, they have to be accompanied by an adult. But I guess this was getting to your other colleague's question. I don't think there's ever been a legislative effort to necessarily, hold parents to a deeper level of accountability. Now, obviously, if a child is in violation of the curfew, an adult will have to come and recover that child. Superintendent, if you want to speak to that process, we can, but otherwise, there's no mechanism in place. If a parent doesn't know where their child is, that somehow there's a sort of legal liability. But Superintendent?
So, and thanks for the question, Sam. Just when we're saying know where your children are, here's what I'll tell you. There are a lot of times that people believe that some of these kids that you see downtown who are acting in that fashion, who are committing acts of violence or vandalism, that these are kids from poor neighborhoods who don't know any better. That's absolutely not the truth at all. A lot of these kids, some of them are from the suburbs. Some of them have working parents. Most of them have working parents. And when we've made arrests in these situations, the parents believe that they were somewhere else. So they may have lied to the parents. So when I say know where your kids are, it's not just about the curfew. It's just in general. Just have an idea of where your kids are, because the kids that go down there to act this out, they're doing something that they saw on social media, and they're going into downtown for that particular purpose. And we want to make sure that if your kid is going somewhere, check, double check, and triple check, and make sure that that's where they're going to be. Because you could find yourself as a parent having to go to the police station to pick up your child if you didn't know where they were and they were going somewhere else. So we just want to make sure that parents are aware that these are possibilities. So don't just trust everything that you hear from young people. That was one of the things with my daughters. Trust was not a thing that was in my house. I understood that they were young people, but I always checked to make sure they were where they said they were. And when they knew that I was going to do that, they knew that they couldn't pull the wool over my eyes. So we just want to make sure that everyone's safe, but I also want the parents to understand this. that if you don't know where they are and they find themselves in a place where they're breaking the law, we're going to take action and you're going to have to come and get them. So we're not going to tolerate the violence. We're not going to sit back while kids fight, while they put other people in danger, and when they're out there shooting and taking each other's lives. We want to make sure that we're stepping in front of that. And as the Chicago Police Department and the men and women of the Chicago Police Department do every day, we're going to be proactive to make sure that this New Year's Eve is as safe as we can possibly make it.
And just for the record, I'm aware that the superintendent still checks in on his daughters, by the way, so, and they're grown.
Hi, Mayor. Want to ask you about Bally's Casino.
Okay.
Has your office gotten any
here.
word from them that they want to renegotiate the host city agreement, given the city council poised to legalize VGTs?
We haven't had that conversation.
And how concerned are you about that affecting?
I've already expressed my concerns around, VGTs, and, look, I think that there are, real opportunities that, we want to be able to maximize as a city as the casino comes online, those will be some ongoing conversations, though. Yep. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Emmy Victor here with WGN.
Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for answering our questions. I also just have one more question regarding the CTA. I did hear you loud and clear when you said that you all have a track record of moving hundreds of thousands of people for larger events, but I wanted to know if there was anything specific you could share that may just put people at ease. You all are promoting, riding the CTA for free for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day in the morning at least, but there have been crimes that have concerned people in recent weeks. So is there anything specific you can share that could put the community at ease to ride your transit system?
I think what both of them have articulated, the superintendent and our acting commissioner has indicated as well, is that, there's going to be far more visible presence, and the footprint is not going to have an impact on the neighborhoods, because I also know that when we start talking about our presence on the CTA or downtown, that the neighborhoods might feel like they're being neglected. In this case, we won't. And so, the plan that has been put before me, I appreciate the collaboration. And again, there's going to be a stronger presence, but the fact of the matter is, you all, our police department cannot be everywhere at the same time. That's just not possible. But what we are counting on is that, as every person up here has already expressed, especially coming from our executive director, OMCA Velez, you see something, say something, right? We also have to support one another as a city. I don't know how much I can emphasize this. We cannot just put all the pressure on police officers. We just cannot do that. It's not sustainable. It's never worked. At a time in which we had 2,000 more police officers, you had 900 people being killed in the city of Chicago. So it's a collaborative effort. But I'm also asking residents to be vigilant and diligent as well. Know your surroundings. If you see something, say something. But there will be a concerted, strong effort to have a presence on the CTA along with our footprint downtown and in the neighborhoods.
Hey, Mayor.
Hey.
Alderman Lawson says he won't hold a zoning committee vote or a meeting until there's a permanent committee chair. Are you worried that that'll halt development, and are you moving ahead with a proposal for that position?
We'll have a proposal for the reorganization of those city council leadership positions. I'm confident we'll be able to land on agreement where people will understand the configuration. The goal, of course, is to continue to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. Am I worried about any sort of delay? I don't have any reason to be worried about that.
Any idea when you might do that?
As soon.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Hey, good afternoon.
I wanted to get you and Superintendent Snelling to weigh in on two pieces of legislation that are moving through the City Council committee as soon as next week. One from Alderman Hopkins would allow geographic curfews within a 12-hour minimum notice, and the other from Alderman Hall would allow the city and CPD and OMC to monitor social media for posts promoting unruly or violent teen gatherings and ask those companies to remove those posts or limit their visibility or face penalties. Are those tools that the city's public safety agencies could utilize?
Well, look, I think the work around the impact that social media has on influencing behavior, of course, there's legitimate concern around there. You know, in this year's budget, we have a brand new tax that we've initiated, the SMART tax, social media amusement responsibility tax, because of all of the research that has demonstrated the level of anxiety and other mental health issues that have been exacerbated or even caused by these large tech companies. You know, as far as whether or not the language of what's being debated is something that, you know, we could get around, there's an ongoing element there. As far as the curfew, we have a citywide curfew already. We have one. Is that everybody? Okay, listen, you all, Happy New Year. I hope to see you all downtown enjoying what will be one of the most memorable moments, I believe, in our city's history. Thank you all very much. Thanks. Hey, Velez, these glasses, man, here.
So we have been listening to the mayor and city leaders talking about the plan for New Year's Eve. Let me just give you a quick kind of recap of what they had to say. Police Superintendent Larry Snelling listing things he wants everyone to know, including saying that police are going to be highly visible in Chicago on New Year's Eve because the amount of people that we are expecting, not only at Navy Pier, not only at the Riverwalk where the fireworks are taking place, but he says also in every single neighborhood. He also emphasized that CTA will be providing free rides from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., and he is encouraging people to take advantage of that. And one thing that came up not once, not twice, but multiple times by both the mayor and also Superintendent Snelling, and that is that if you have underage children or teenagers, make sure you know where they are. They are going to be putting of course, the curfew is going to be put into effect as it is on weeknights and weekends in the city of Chicago anyway, which is usually around 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., excuse me. So if you have children under the age of 18, they are saying make sure that they are accompanied by an adult or a guardian. And if those children are not with you, to make sure you know where those children are, make sure you check in with them. Obviously, this has everything to do with some of these teen takeovers that we have been unfortunately seeing resulting in violence in the city of Chicago over the last few years, over the last couple of months. So they are emphasizing that police will not tolerate any violence, and they are asking parents to please make sure you know where your teenagers are. Again, if you have a child under the age of 18, they must be accompanied by an adult. Also, they're saying the weather could be in the teens and single digits. Mark's going to be joining me in a minute here to talk more about that. But they're telling everybody, make sure you dress appropriately. And if you're planning to go, and if you're planning to be a part of this fun, you're going to want to know that the main stage for this national program that's taking place, we are going to have Chicago performers, Chicago artists. That is going to be located at Franklin and Wacker Street. That is the main stage. Lake and Wells is the secured entrance for people who want to make their way to that area. There's going to be viewing throughout the Riverwalk. The Art in the Mart is doing some digital projections that they're telling people to come out and enjoy. That's taking place from 7 until 9 p.m. If you want to see that, you come out early, bundle up. You've got a little something to do before that. And they're saying we're going to be seeing more police presence, at least 50 more detectives on the streets. They just want everybody to be safe and to have a good time. And that's going to be it from the OEMC news conference as we take a look outside at the beautiful Bean. You can see people already converging in the city, probably tourists getting ready. The mayor talking about the fact that Chicago was actually just voted one of the top 5 destinations for New Year's Eve. And with this national attention putting us in the spotlight, they are expecting even more people to come. And I guess what they were kind of referencing here to Mr. Mark Strell is that, you know, when you think of visiting Chicago, a lot of people don't necessarily think about coming out here in the wintertime, but this is a top destination year round, and it's a good time if you are dressed appropriately, right?
Right, we have to be dressed appropriately.
Yeah.
I mean, without appropriate dress, I mean, you'd just be naked.
You'd be naked and cold
Yeah.
and miserable.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
wouldn't be
talk
good.
about the weather. Since we're talking about New Year's Eve, what can people expect for New Year's Eve?
Well, we have actually the warmest temperatures all week long. Are going to be in the
Oh.
30s on Wednesday.
Okay.
So 20s
What about
all week long.
midnight?
Midnight? It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold outside. Yeah, no, it's going to be in the 20s pretty much all week long.
Okay.
With overnight low temperatures, you can see there in the teens.
Oh, here we go.
It is going to be cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
And a little bit of a breeze. You know, when it's 10 or 12 degrees, it doesn't take much of a breeze for those temperatures to get knocked down to single digits. So here we go, Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. We're looking at 10, the mercury reading. There could be a couple flurries around on Wednesday as well.
Not much to talk about?
Nah, I don't really expect
No?
any real significant precip at all. Yeah, it's going to be cold, 20 degrees on New Year's Day, and then we warm slightly as we go towards the rest of the week and into the weekend back up into the 30s.
Well, that actually sounds pretty good. Okay, we had such a big change. Let's talk about what we experienced
Oh, my.
over the weekend.
Yeah, was that crazy?
That was crazy. And
Yeah.
how bad were the winds?
Well, we saw winds over 50 miles per hour
Wow.
in many cases. So, you know, and just to go from, we had 60s around Chicago.
Right.
And to go from 60s down into the teens and 20s, all within 24 hours, and to have those winds on top ushering in the colder air, it was just a slap in the face.
Talk about the winds of change, huh? Right? They
Very
literally
poetic.
changed everything.
Yeah, no, and they changed it that quick. It was funny, I was in a friend's shop, I guess it was last night, right? I'm trying to keep track.
Yes,
It
busy
changed so
man.
quickly. But we went from, again, very warm conditions, walked in for a couple of hours, came out, and it was
Yeah.
blasting.
It was crazy.
And you were getting pelted with snow.
Okay, so then as far as today goes, then just, you know, kind of bundle up, but nothing significant happening. I was looking, we had a
Yeah.
live picture earlier of some major problems in Detroit because of a storm that had gone through
Right.
there. So, and the Northeast this weekend, major delays out there with the
Right.
weather. We didn't experience that.
No, we didn't really have any problems at all. You know what, to tell you the truth, yesterday when you and I talked,
Yes.
as we do every Sunday
It's
morning.
because we get to be together,
we
and
get
that
to
makes
hang
us
out.
so happy.
Yes,
We hope
it's
you guys join us.
The best show ever
Ever.
on Fox, 7 o'clock in the morning every
Yes.
Sunday. I told you, I didn't even think we'd have really much, if any, accumulation. So what you're looking at is not much, if any,
any,
accumulation.
just like you said.
I was a little surprised that we even had that much of a dust up, that it even was around portions of the grassy areas. But you can see it's been cleared off the streets, the highways, the sidewalks, and kind of pushed off pretty easily, pretty quickly. And there are some areas that didn't really have any snowfall at all. But right here around Chicago, a little dust up.
I was
but
going to say, it's still happening?
yeah, just there's some snow showers still around, but again, not really anything that's going to do much more than go, hey, look at
Here
that.
I come. Okay, is it that lake effect? I always love it when I used to hear it. It's lake effect snow, which means, oh, it's not really. It's kind of pretend.
Pretend snow. It's pretend,
Right.
but it's real.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it maybe not so much lake effect snow as lake enhanced.
Okay.
So we have some winds kind of swirling around. We have some natural snow kind of happening anyway. But when those storm winds come off the lake, they pick up a little extra moisture, and it gives some enhancement.
Okay, enhances the beauty of our city.
Yeah, right. It does.
Thank you, Mark Strel. Are you joining me on the news at 4?
Oh, I'll see you then.
Okay, well, we're going to take a little break, and Chicago Live will be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to Chicago Live. Paris Schutz here to take you the final hour. And we have an unfortunate story. Always sad to report on issues with pets, but an unfortunate story involving a pet here that Tia Ewing has been reporting on all day. Tia, do we have you there? Can you just kind of fill us in on what you're looking at?
So yes, this is a story that came on my desk last week. This is just an awful situation. Part of this attack of this little Yorkie, who's only 5 pounds, was caught on camera. This happened at an apartment complex located in the Lincoln Park community. And what happened is this young mom is getting ready to get on the elevator with her Yorkshire Terrier. And as soon as the elevator doors open, 3 pit bulls who are not leashed come running off of the elevator. The video that we have is right in the middle of that attack. It is very hard to watch, so obviously we will have to blur the video, but you see one of the dogs go straight for the neck of this little Yorkie, and then from that point, the other dogs just pounce. The owner of these dogs is trying to get on top of the dog. The one dog that really has her little dog in its claws, the owner is on the back of this dog trying to get this dog to release, and still a grown man could not, force this dog off of this toy-sized breed dog. Sadly, the dog died. I was just going over the interview a few seconds ago, and one of her things that she said was, and this is the part that's really just heartbreaking, she took the dog to the hospital, and she was informed that her dog, who was only a year old, named Nico, had became paralyzed at his back limbs, both of them. This is a direct quote, by the way, his spinal cord was so damaged that it was making his organs fail, and that basically I was told there was no hope for him after that. The most traumatic part about this as well is that during all of this commotion, at one point, her 6-year-old sees the dog, basically dying. I mean, right before his eyes. And this dog was a gift to him a year ago. So just a tragic story all the way around for multiple reasons. Legally looking over the leasing agreement, it clearly says that if you're leasing an apartment in this particular location, you are to have 1 dog or 1 cat. That's it. And if this dog is going to be within the community of the apartment complex, it also says that they should be controlled on a leash while moving throughout the community. So a lot of questions here. Why weren't these dogs leashed? How did you, first of all, have more than one dog to begin with? There are allegations within the lawsuit that the dog's owners, one of them is a leasing agent, and so they avoided, following the rules. So the lawsuit is naming the Chicago Housing Authority because this is one of those apartment complexes where a percentage, even though, obviously Lincoln Park, a higher earning income area within Chicago, but this is one of those properties where a portion of those rentals do go to people that are looking for housing, that may have some housing issues there, not being able to afford, high rent, etc. So that is part of this. So they're mentioned in this, as well as the developer and also the security on site, because the mom feels like security saw this person constantly, within the community with these dogs not leashed, and that security on site should have said something like, you can't have them walking around in the hallways without a leash. They can't just be, able to move about like that. And you're not supposed to have so many. So that is part of the lawsuit. We talked to mom. We have the video that obviously we will have to blur. It is absolutely horrifying. And we also talked to the attorney in all of this. We have requested comment from the Chicago Housing Authority, the developers in this, and also the security team, as well as Chicago's animal control on, what are their requirements for a situation like this. Normally, what we have found is they're supposed to have contact with that dog owner right away. Dog owner in this case being of the 3 pit bulls. Mom is alleging here, the mother that we spoke with is alleging here that she went back to her apartment. This was just 2 days ago, and saw that owner out with the dogs walking around still unleashed. So what has been done in this case, we don't know, but that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of.
But you're saying, Tia, I mean, this just sounds awful, absolutely awful. They have a legal, per their lease agreement, they can have 1 pet, and this person had 3, so they can have 1 dog or 1 cat. Has to be controlled on a leash. So apparently, from this video, clearly they're violating that agreement if they have 3, and then and the 3 are not on a leash, correct?
Correct. And so it literally says, and I quote, this is according to the leasing agreement, no more than 1 fur-bearing pet is permitted in an apartment. And then it goes on to say, animals/pets must be controlled and on a leash while moving throughout the community. They violated both of those things that are within their leasing agreement. And it is alleged that one of the leasing agents is the owner of these dogs along with her boyfriend. So you would think that person would be in compliance. And according to this, that person is completely not in compliance. So a lot of questions here. I think this is one of those stories where we will tell the story today. We may have just a few answers today, but as the week progresses, I suspect we will have more answers. And maybe we will even find out that someone has lost their job behind this. I'm just being frank.
Yeah, no.
This
sounds like you get the story out there and it's going to force some kind of action, but very disturbing story. So we will look for that. Important story, so we can't turn away, but it's just unfortunate. And we'll look for that at 4 and 5, Tia. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paris. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. All right. And we're going to go to break real quick. We'll be back with more Chicago Live right after this. All right, welcome back to Chicago Live in this hour. You know, this is the season that brings joy to so many people, but also brings stress and sometimes seasonal depression, anxiety, stress, and then some of those other ailments like the flu or the norovirus. A lot of bugs going around right now. Just ask the Chicago Bears. Clearly, they have that flu bug going through them right now, even though they almost pulled it out last night in that thrilling loss in San Francisco. So we want to talk about some of these health issues now with Chicago Dr. Chris Colbert. Dr. Colbert, former director of the emergency medicine program at UI Health and is on the faculty at University of Illinois. Dr. Colbert, thanks for talking with us. Happy holidays to you. And, you know, in addition to some gifts this year, people are getting the unwanted gifts of the flu or the norovirus. How prevalent right now, first of all, is this severe strain of flu that's going around that apparently bit the Bears?
So, and here's the thing. 100%, we could talk about that a little bit later. Bear down on the flu vaccine, ladies and gentlemen. The Bears need us, and they need Chicago to be healthy. And with that, it's a good segue to, with the snow and the season come the sneezes. And we're seeing an uptick in specifically influenza A. And the patients that I'm seeing and the patients that I'm admitting also do not have any vaccination.
And now this strain of influenza, is it more severe than the typical strains that we see?
So that is an excellent question, and one that I'm commonly asked in the ED. So the design of viruses, just all viruses, whether it's adenovirus, influenza, rhinovirus, are to sustain their existence. And they do that by making variations to their existence so that the next year they come back a little bit better. And so in the context of this, specifically, there is a new variant. I'm going to nerd out here for a second. It's called sub-K. And that is a variant for the influenza A that they have prevalent this year. However, that is what is suspected to be causing that uptick in the influenza that we are seeing in the emergency.
The sub-K variant. You know, flu is like anything else. It's got to adapt to survive, and the strongest strains survive, and unfortunately they come and take root in our bodies. So you said that you're seeing a lot of folks that are not vaccinated. Just a normal flu vaccine would protect against this strain, correct?
So here's the thing, is that think of the vaccine, any vaccine, as a seatbelt. It doesn't mean you won't get into an accident, but it does significantly decrease the impact of the event. So for those specifically on the extremes of age, whether it's extremely young or older, that's who we're seeing present to the emergency room, and those are the ones we're seeing admitted to the hospital. So having this ability to boost your immune system so that you don't have to come to the emergency room, so that you don't have to be admitted to the hospital, has a huge impact on not only your family, the community, and your admissions to the hospital as well.
So thorny question here, because again, you piqued my interest when you said that. Are you just seeing fewer and fewer people getting vaccinated for the flu? And we might speculate as to why that is. Obviously, you know, the director of Health and Human Services has been very skeptical about vaccines. Do you think that might be playing into this?
I think that contributes to the conversation. That definitely contributes to the conversation that comes into the emergency room, as it's, I understand, blah, 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 and I was told this. And so it's just a matter of just sitting down and meeting people where they are. Realistically, people who do not vaccine is something old. That is not something new. That was before COVID. Those individuals existed, and we just had a conversation. And again, it's just meeting people where they are and having a discussion on the impact of having the vaccination and how that decreases coming to the emergency room. Because you or I could have the flu right now. We're not going to the emergency room. But it's those populations that are being admitted and are presented to the emergency room where having a little bit of help to boost the immune system will have a huge impact on the rest of this holiday season.
For sure. So this is a concerning strain of the flu to watch out for. What norovirus? You know, I went down last winter right at this very time with a bad case of norovirus. Are we see? First of all, tell us the symptoms of norovirus and what are we seeing on that front right now?
Again, a great question. Norovirus is usually locked into the category of a respiratory virus, such as the flu or RSV, but it is not. So norovirus is specifically a virus that is dedicated to the gut. That's the intestine, that's the stomach, and those patients come into the emergency room with really bad nausea and vomiting. And the thing about norovirus is that it's shed in the stool. So the biggest thing about norovirus is making sure that individuals wash their hands. We have seen a huge uptick in norovirus, and specifically these patients come in with really bad stomach ache, they're vomiting, and they have really bad diarrhea, as opposed to the influenza or RSV, where it's the cough and the sneeze and the runny nose. It's a clear distinction. So glad you asked that question.
Yeah, I remember that was not fun, and it stuck around for about 3 days. And let's just say I had to station myself very close to the bathroom, or else it would have been a lot of trouble.
You know, and I appreciate your honesty. And here's the thing: that's most patients that come into the emergency room as well.
Yeah.
And the big thing is keeping the hands washed and hitting the doorknobs, the counter tables, keeping those areas clean, using something with an alcohol base to clean those areas significantly mitigates the impact of shedding and sharing these viruses.
A surge we see every year because of the holidays for both flu and norovirus.
We do.
I mean, people are together more. They're maybe not washing their hands. They're in their parties. They're in their gatherings. They're talking to each other.
And they're not only talking, it's hugs, it's kisses. You haven't seen anyone such a long time, because usually we see the peak after Christmas. We see the peaks after New Year's. That's when everyone's coming together and celebrating the time, the year, the great season. And my recommendation is, hey, still do that. Still do the hugs. Still do the warm embraces. And it's great to see everyone. But let's keep our hands washed. And if you're not feeling well, give yourself that grace. Give yourself that time to get a little bit better. Give yourself 24 hours, and then you're back on the seasonal scene, having great fun with family and friends, and everyone remains healthy.
Yeah, you know, for Thanksgiving, I got a really bad upper respiratory virus, and I had to call my family and say, look, I got to miss Thanksgiving this year. I don't want to get everybody sick. It's just what happens. You know, unfortunately, sometimes you gotta take one for the team.
Touche.
Yeah.
Taking one for the team, which goes back to the Bears. Yesterday. And as a city, we've got to come together. The Bears need us right now.
Oh, they do.
We have to be healthy.
They need us. They need us full-throated, and they need us healthy, and they can't be getting sick. And we get it.
Touche.
Yeah. What about the whole notion of depression, seasonal depression during the holidays? Is this a real thing, or is it something that maybe is more perceived because everyone's just so stressed out with deadlines and gift giving? Do people really feel more depressed or full of anxiety during the holidays?
So that is in fact a real thing, and these patients will present, and there's a lot of things that attribute to this. Number one, there's so many deadlines that we have at the end of the year, whether it's work, family, gifts, getting things together, getting meals together, that attributes to this laundry list of things that are on this list. Coupled with that is getting darker earlier. And it's 5 o'clock, it's really, really dark, it's cold, so you're away from other family members, you're not outside as you would. And so that seasonal depression is in fact a very real thing. And that's something that patients will present to the emergency room as well, or with their family practice doctor or their pediatrician.
So they'll present to the emergency room. How does it present in terms of someone showing up at the emergency room? I mean, could it be substance abuse? Could it be they tried to harm themselves? Do you see a spike in that?
Well, there's a myriad of different presentations when it comes to any sort of depression, whether it's an increase in alcohol use or it's just the being distant from family members, where sometimes a family member will bring another family member to the emergency room, or someone just comes to the emergency room and states, I've got the seasonal blues. We get that quite often as well. And it's just a matter of behavior, and it's tailored to who you are and those concerns. Sometimes it's ensuring that you plan things outside or sometimes inside in a place where you can interact with individuals. It's behavioral modifications that have a huge impact on a better outcome during these cold and darker seasons.
All right, so what are some of those behavioral modifications that you recommend?
Number one is be deliberate. If you feel as if, hey, I feel as if I'm not outside, so I'm not with friends, make a time meeting at Starbucks. make a time to meet at Target, TJ Maxx. So if you want to do shopping with friends, walk dogs with neighbors, do something that interacts with other individuals so that you can decrease the time alone, or decrease the time in which you would acknowledge that, hey, usually I'm with someone else, or usually I'm outside. So be deliberate and ensure that you are doing something with other individuals. And also the big thing is check in on family members. Check in on family members. We very often have patients come to the emergency room and then their family members come to the emergency room, and the first thing they state is, we didn't know, or we didn't see this coming, or in some capacity where no one spoke with that individual for 2 weeks. No one spoke with them for 3 or 4 weeks. It's the season to be jolly. Call your friends, check in on them, make sure they're doing well, check on their Christmas list, New Year's plans, and then that can spark the conversation to move in a better place for health and for happiness.
Seems like common denominator here is don't be alone. Isolation during the holidays, it can be one of the worst things.
Yes. And communicate.
Yeah. What about, you've got some tips on staying out of the emergency room during peak season right now. So is this peak season? I mean, do you start to see really busy emergency rooms around this time? And then what are your tips to stay away?
So this is the two things we have. It's the Christmas bump and the New Year's bump and pre-bump. So we call New Year's the amateur night. Totally different. I can come back and talk about that. But we could talk about New Year's. And usually in the Christmas season, we usually have a bump 3 or 4 days after Christmas because everyone's gotten together. And then you have the flus, you've got the fevers that don't go down. That's what we usually see. We see the upset stomachs that come after Christmas. Those are usually what we see. And the recommendation is always hands washing, hit the doorknobs, hit the countertops. And if you are in social spaces, make sure you are in those social spaces and continue to wash hands, and avoid those social spaces if you're not feeling well. That significantly decreases the ER presentations and to the family practice clinics as well.
I know my own personal stomach problems after the holidays come from overeating, maybe a little overindulgence of some of those Christmas cookies and sweets and candies, and it's time to. I've been hitting the gym as much as I can, Dr. Colbert, believe me. But what about general wellness, physical wellness after the holidays? Everyone starts to make New Year's resolutions, but then it kind of falls off into the new year. Is it important to make a plan to be consistently physically active?
And so here's the thing, everything in moderation. My biggest comment to all patients is today's the first day of the rest of your health. Today's the first day of the rest of your health. And the biggest hack in life is consistency. I'm not saying you've got to run 3 miles every day. Maybe run 3 miles one day and 3 minutes the next day. That's totally fine until you get to the pattern of, hey, I can run 1.5 miles every day. And also, you don't have to run every day. Sometimes you can just walk your dog one day. Any activity enhances it. Here's a secret. Outside exercise, it's always enhanced by a pet. You are more likely, I'm not saying get a pet to exercise. What I'm saying is if you have a pet, bring Scruffy or King or whomever with you when you go on your walks. You're more likely to increase exercise in that capacity. Going back to what you communicated about the holiday season, there's nothing wrong with indulging in the holiday snacks. No one ever eats pound cake except during Christmas.
Right.
No one ever eats cranberry sauce unless it's Christmas or Thanksgiving. Two of the biggest things that cause reflux in the emergency room. I'm like, hey, what'd you have to eat today? I don't know, just a whole lot of cranberry. We never eat cranberry sauce throughout the year, except during Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so everything in moderation. Eat the chocolate cakes, eat the chocolate pies, have the turkey and the cranberry sauce, but take it easy so you can watch the remainder of the football games.
Yeah.
Usually around the second football game, that's when your reflux is like, hey, I don't think I can make it past halftime. And then they come to Bernie's room, and the first thing they ask is, hey, I think I need a Pepsid, and which of your rooms has a TV so I can watch the remainder of the games?
Well, that was everybody last night, I think, needing the Pepsid after that back and forth battle. But I think Bears fans will take it. We'll take the extra stress and action with our nervous system because they're good and it's fun to watch, and we get the endorphins from watching a really great football team, even if they come up short.
You know what, everyone, bear down on good health, bear down on watching these Bears succeed, and everyone, I wish the best for this holiday season. Stay healthy so you can really engage and be a part of all of these beautiful, beautiful season here we have in Chicago with the holiday season and with the Bears.
All right, Dr. Chris Colbert, it's great to engage with you as well. Thanks for giving us these very useful tips.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Happy holidays now. And it's about 3:33 here on Chicago Live. We've got a little more coming up for you over the next half hour to get you ready for the 4 o'clock news over on Fox 32. My God, that Bears game last night. I think I needed about 3 hours to come down from that. I couldn't go to sleep after that. That was something else. And all the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. There were so many chances to win that game. But, the playoffs, they're coming. That's what's important. Be healthy for the playoffs and play your best football in January. And hopefully that's what the Bears are going to do. I want to give you a little programming note. I'm going to be doing the Chicago Report tonight at 10. We got a very special guest. You might recognize his voice if you're a lifelong Chicagoan or if you've seen the movie Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. That's Bill Curtis. Bill Curtis, the legendary CBS anchorman and reporter, has a new book, an autobiography on his life called Whirlwind. And it is a fascinating read. I spent the last couple of days reading as much of it as I could. And my God, what a life. I mean, and we're going to get into all of that. You're not going to want to miss this interview tonight at 10. But you talk about a guy who got into TV news accidentally. He kind of stumbled into it because a hurricane hit his hometown of Topeka, and he was broadcasting part-time for the local TV station, and it launched his career. And his first like several dozen stories were, consider this, the Richard Speck murders, 68, the RFK and MLK assassination, the DNC, Charles Manson, Vietnam, Agent Orange, Tokyo Rose, all these legendary, amazing moments in history back around the turn of the 60s and the 70s. And then he, of course, became part of that legendary anchorman duo with Walter Jacobson. So we're going to get into his whole career, how he did it, his view from the front row of history. He's got a new book, Whirlwind. That's going to be tonight on the Chicago Report at 10 o'clock or anytime on streaming. And also working on another story for you. And this is, you might not have been paying attention, but the Chicago Board of Education voted to raise your property taxes by $25 million if you live in the city of Chicago. They had a kind of a secretive meeting today. It's supposed to be a public meeting. It was a public meeting. It was kind of a last-minute emergency meeting to come consider a vote, and they voted 15-5, the school board, to raise property taxes by $25 million to help out with their budget. We know that CPS has had all kinds of budget problems, but it's raising some questions today about why this was done in such secrecy, and the board president apparently telling other board members not to talk to the press and not to leak news of school board meetings where they might raise your property taxes. I don't know. It sounds like something you'd think you'd want your elected officials to be talking to the public about. And in fact, they're legally required to have these meetings be open to the public so that the public can weigh in. But again, we're going to get into that at 4 and 5. A very interesting story. And I have reached out to the school board president, haven't heard back. Hope to talk with some other school board members when we do that at 4 and 5. And right now, 3:36, we're going to take a short break here on Chicago Live, and we'll be back for the home stretch in just a second. Welcome back to Chicago Live. We got some breaking news for you. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are holding court at Mar-a-Lago right now after a scheduled meeting today, answering questions from the press. Let's take a listen to what they're saying.
And we openly say it. We want to make sure that the border area right next to our border is safe. We don't have terrorists. We don't have attacks. And we also want to secure our Druze friends. And by the way, I think not only the Druze, but other minorities, especially the Christians, should be protected as well in Syria and throughout the Middle East and in Nigeria. In your efforts, we back completely because Christian communities are beleaguered around the world and especially in the Middle East, but in parts of Africa too. And we stand for the same thing.
And don't forget, it was President Erdogan that helped very much get rid of a very bad ruler of Syria. That was President Erdogan. And he never wanted the credit for it, but he really gets a lot of credit. Bibi agrees with that. I agree with I mean, I know it. And President Erdogan should get a lot of good credit for what he did. He got rid of some very bad people. And, you know, they've been wanting to do that for 1,000 years with different names, but for 1,000 years in Syria. President Erdogan did it, and we give him a lot of credit. I give him a lot of credit. But I think it's going to work out well between Syria and Israel.
Mr. President, about Lebanon.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
The Lebanese government, so what we saw, is not meeting the terms of the ceasefire agreement, has failed to disarm Hezbollah, actually. In your view, should Israel strike the terrorist organization again?
Well, we're going to see about that. We'll see about it. The Lebanese government is at a little bit of a disadvantage, if you think of it, with Hezbollah. But Hezbollah has been behaving badly, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, on China.
How close are we to another operation of Israel in Iran? You said before the meeting with Netanyahu that you are in support of Israel if the ballistic missile project will take on and also the nuclear weapon. But after the meeting, after what you know from the intelligence, how close are we to another war with Iran?
Well, I don't want to say that, but Iran may be behaving badly. It hasn't been confirmed. But if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. You know, consequences will be very powerful, maybe more powerful than the last time. Yeah. And Iran should have made a deal the last time. I gave them the option. I said, you can make a deal. Do it. I told them, do it. And they didn't believe me. Now they believe me.
Do you have evidence that Iran is behaving badly, and what do you mean by that?
This is just what we hear. But usually, where there's smoke, there's fire. Have you heard the expression?
Well, what do you mean related to the nuclear capabilities?
Well, no, I'm hearing that they're not nuclear yet, but maybe nuclear too. The sites were obliterated, but they're looking at other sites. That's what I've heard. They're looking. So it'll take a long time. They're not going to go back to where they were, but they have other places they can go. And if they're doing that, they're making a big mistake. Yeah, please. There's no reason for them to do it.
Mr. President, is the United States currently open to engaging in bilateral discussions with Tehran? We're hearing reports from numerous countries that there may be some discussions. Is that something you would support, or something that is happening?
I would.
You would support that?
I would, yes.
Right now. Thank you, sir.
I have been, by the way, before the war, I would support that. I said to him, Bibi, I said, let's negotiate. And they didn't believe what was going to happen would happen.
And there you have it, President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting with the press in Mar-a-Lago after their meeting today. We're going to go to break, and when we come back for the home stretch, we've got the latest on a shooting in the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood right near St. Sabina. We'll have the latest on that in just a second. All right, welcome back. 345 here on Chicago Live. We want to get out to the south side, Auburn Gresham, where Fox 32's Brett Bagansky is joining us via Zoom. Brett, I know you've been covering the shooting that happened right by St. Sabina. That's obviously Father Mike Pfleger's parish. Fill us in on the latest. What do we know right now?
So we were able to find out today that there was an adult basketball league that plays here every Sunday. There was an argument inside the gym just minutes before. It looked like the league resolved whatever happened inside. There wasn't like a fist fight or anything. It looked like there was just some sort of argument over what. Not exactly clear at this time, but it looked like everything was resolved. But then it was after the game, it ended up going out where people were outside, and somehow somebody had a gun and started shooting into a crowd. When I spoke with Father Michael Pfleger earlier today, he said that there is surveillance video of this incident. It's now in the hands of Chicago police, and he told me there was another car involved. So he was telling me that it looked like somebody who was inside the gym, who was involved in this fight, altercation, if you will, had called somebody from the outside. That car pulled up, and even though the details about where the person was or the people, where they were located, where they fired the shots here on the south side, that's unclear at this time. But it looked like the people who were involved in the shooting, it appears both the shooter and at least some of the victims here were indeed at this basketball game, whether they were playing or they were just watching the game at this time. So that surveillance video is going to be very, very important when it comes to finding out who was involved. But Father Pfleger's message was, look, these are people in their 30s and 40s playing basketball. This is a safe haven. This is a place where guns are not allowed. They're not allowed on campus at all. And he almost feels like it's very disappointing that they have to tell adults that you're not allowed to bring guns there. So he believes that whoever did this did indeed bring a gun onto St. Sabina's campus. And right now, if anybody knows anything, they're telling anyone to please name the people so they can catch the people responsible for this, because it looks like all three men who did get shot yesterday are expected to be okay.
That's interesting, because I know that Father Pfleger has always talked about basketball leagues and the things that he does with St. Sabina to try and keep people off the street and keep people active and foster community there, and the basketball is a huge part of that. So it sounds like he did kind of tell you what he knows. I'm curious. You said you just spoke with him. What else did he tell you? Did he seem to indicate he might have a sense of who the alleged suspect might be?
He didn't indicate who it was, but he made it very clear that the people running this adult basketball league know exactly who was responsible. And he said, Brett, let's be honest. Everybody may say like, oh, I don't know anything. I don't want to get involved. And he said, everybody knows what happened. Everybody knows the people responsible for this. So it's like, do you really want to get in trouble with the law just because you don't want to say anything? Because now there's pretty clear surveillance from what Father Pfleger was saying, and he said they're going to have a really good idea of who was responsible for this, especially because this league is here every Sunday, and if the same people are coming and playing basketball, I'm sure they know exactly who was involved.
Is that league going to be postponed now, or are they going to continue to operate?
It looks like right now, if they are going to continue to operate, it's not going to be at St. Sabina's. So Father Pfleger said they're not allowed here anymore. They are not welcome after everything had happened. And there's already security measures in place. That's part of the reason that they have these open gyms. They have these intramural basketball leagues, is that the people responsible for booking the gym times are required to have their security. That includes pat downs and bag checks. And they do that for a lot of the youth leagues because they feel like for the younger people, their brain isn't developed. They may not exactly understand the implications of right and wrong or know exactly what they're doing. And they said, now we have to do this moving forward for everybody, because it's just, he feels responsible for everyone's safety inside and outside, especially for what St. Sabina stands for. Now they're having to rethink public safety as we're getting to the end of the year. The crime stats had come out showing that overall across the city, crime is down, but there's still that perception that there are parts of the city that are not safe. And when you have this incident, you have the incident in River North. These are the incidents where you have critics of the city saying this is why we have to get a handle on public safety.
Yeah, it's interesting dichotomy that you bring up, Brett, because the numbers do show that this is going to be one of the safer years in recent memory in terms of crime and violent crime going down. But often crime is an issue of perception, and it's about how people feel. And if they see high-profile violent crime, happening, then they don't feel like it's safe, regardless of what the numbers say. But I'm curious if the police have said anything about this at this point, about this particular case.
It looks like we just know that a general description of the victims. It looks like the suspect is still out there. So if anybody knows anything, be sure to call Chicago police about this whole thing. But it would be a good follow-up to know that they have security video of this, and it'd be a good question for Chicago police to know, are they going to release at least maybe a still photo or at least some of the surveillance video, a plate on the car that was apparently involved in this whole thing, which could really give people a clue of who was responsible here. But even just going over some of the crime stats of looking at everything, and I looked at the numbers for Auburn Gresham, and they tend to reflect the city numbers overall. However, there are 3 areas where I was able to determine through the city data, and this is all public data that anybody can search right now at chicago.gov/city/insights, and it goes over the crime stats. So when it comes to non-shooting homicide victims, criminal sexual assault victims, and aggravated battery victims, the numbers actually went up. And you could look at them yourself. And sometimes the numbers, it could be just a few numbers. But when you look at criminal sexual assault victims, up 33%, there was a spike there. And then the aggravated battery victims also up as well. But as far as the number of shootings, the homicide victims, those all have gone down, including this neighborhood here.
All right, crime certainly localized, not just by neighborhood, but within neighborhoods as well. Brett Bagansky, thanks very much. We'll look forward to your reporting at 4 and 5 on this situation near St. Sabina. We appreciate it.
Hey, Paris, thanks for having me.
All right, you got it. 3:52 right now, about to be 3:53 here on Chicago Live, and we've got our 4 o'clock news and our 5 o'clock news coming up. We're looking at a lot of things, including the mayor, speaking of public safety, had a press conference today with the city's public safety leaders, including Police Superintendent Larry Snelling, to prepare for New Year's Eve. Talked about some stepped up security presence in the city for this New Year's Eve because of a big national broadcast celebration that Chicago is going to be staging with Chance the Rapper and the Dick Clark New Year's Eve live from Chicago. So this will be kind of an alternative to the ball drop in Times Square, although, of course, happening an hour after that happens here in the Central. So the mayor talking about security, not just across the city, but on the CTA, talking about more stepped up police patrols at CTA stations and on trains and buses, given some of the high-profile activity that's occurred there in the last several months. Even though they'll say the same thing as they say about crime across the city, it has dropped on CTA overall on public transit, but we've seen some of these high-profile cases that have gotten a lot of news coverage, like the burning at the Loop CTA station, and for that reason, it got the attention of the federal government, the Department of Transportation, the Federal Transit Administration Director, mandating that the city come up with an enhanced safety plan or else risk losing federal funding. The city then went back with their plan, and the FTA rejected it, saying you got to do better than that. And so the mayor answering questions today on what that revised safety plan is going to look like as we all get ready for New Year's, and we hope for a safe New Year's, and looks like it's going to be a characteristically cold New Year's, possibly with snow, and we'll have Mark Strell with the very latest forecast coming up at 4 as well. I mentioned a little bit about the Chicago Board of Education. So if you thought property taxes, the city's not going to raise them, we're safe. Coast is clear, not so fast. The school board did vote today to increase the schools portion of the property tax for city dwellers by $25 million, which, depending on how much you pay, will cost you about $10 to $20 a year more on your property tax bill. This is pretty much a pro forma vote. The schools do this every year to raise property taxes by the maximum yearly increase allowed by state law. But they kind of made this one kerfluffle when the board president, Sean Hardin, canceled the original vote on this earlier this month while the mayor was still battling on the city budget. And then very quietly, they set this emergency meeting after the city budget got resolved. So one might speculate, because the mayor is very closely allied with the board president and Chicago Teachers Union, they're all very closely aligned, that perhaps the mayor has been, consistent about his message about not wanting to raise property taxes, but you have his allies here at the school board raising property taxes at the very same time, and perhaps they wanted to do that at a time where people were not paying attention, but we were paying attention, and we're going to bring you that story at 5 o'clock, as well as, I mentioned, the great Bill Curtis, Chicago Report tonight at 10. So a full slate of programming if you're nestled in for your pre-New Year's, post-Christmas hangover, pre-New Year's rest up. So get all the news you need to know here with us at fox32chicago.com. And that is it for us here at Chicago Live. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Thanks, everybody.
From Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
A shooting near his church.
The city now preparing for New Year's, officially detailing their safety plan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
I'm Scott Schneider. Terrence is off today.
As holiday travel continues, winter weather is causing headaches for travelers this week, with the largest number of flight disruptions happening right here in Chicago.
Yeah, to Sylvia's point, 127 cancellations, 788 delays at O'Hare alone. The average flight delay, about a half an hour. Atlanta, Detroit also reporting massive numbers, 97 cancellations, 340 delays. That's at Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. A morning ground delay in Detroit is to blame for some 67 cancellations and nearly 400 delays at Detroit Metro Wayne County Airport. Delta is posting the highest number of impacted flights right now. About 4% of its scheduled services have been canceled.
I got a text saying that they canceled my flight, and she just said it's due to weather, and I'm stuck. I don't have anybody here. I don't know anybody. They say I can't get out till Tuesday.
While more than 30 million people are under winter weather alerts across the Midwest and Northeast, with another storm threatening to mess with even more travel plans. At this time, no major airlines are offering travel waivers. And since weather is considered outside an airline's control, travelers are not entitled to anything extra should their flight be either canceled or delayed.
Well, let's take a live look outside as we see this shot looking actually very pretty there with that cloud cover, a little sunshine.
But it looks cold, doesn't it?
It is cold, and if we're having travel delays, it's not because of our weather today. Yesterday was a whole nother story, right, Mark?
Yeah, especially with those winds that were up around 50 miles per hour whipping around. And then, of course, some very light snowfall last night. We had some light snow and some snow showers around today. In fact, that's one of the reasons our road conditions still may be a little bit snowy, especially those secondary and tertiary roads. Main roads obviously in pretty good shape. Last check of the airports show that we're in decent shape across most of the airports around the Midwest, although we are looking at moderate delays right now at Detroit, with only minor delays at this moment. Cloudy skies around the area, some snow showers. We'll continue to see those snow showers push away for us, and we will have some cold conditions coming again over the next several days. I'll tell you about that, plus your New Year's Eve forecast coming up.
Well, as the countdown to midnight begins, city officials now gearing up for New Year's Eve.
Casey Cronus is live in the West Loop with a look at this year's big plans for traffic, crowd control, and so much more. Casey.
Hi, Sylvia and Scott. All throughout the city, there will be New Year's Eve celebrations taking place, including at Navy Pier, the Merchandise Mart, and on the Riverwalk. Here at OEMC headquarters, we heard from leaders from many city departments, including police and fire, special events, and even an official from the U.S. Secret Service. This year, because some of the festivities will be broadcast nationally, there are more eyes on the city. New Year's Eve already marks one of Chicago's largest gatherings of the year. To get ready, city officials have started to close down streets. This morning, Franklin between Lake and Wacker was shut down as the stage is set for Art on the Mart fireworks display. Free admission to the area will start at 5 o'clock on the 31st with a special projection launched at 7 p.m. before on-stage performances begin at 9 that night. Meanwhile, another fireworks display will light up the sky from Navy Pier, where the Aeon Ballroom will once again host guests to ring in 2026. The Chicago Police Department is working with other local and federal partners to ensure a smooth holiday.
First of all, we're going to be highly visible throughout the entirety of the city. We're going to make sure that we have sufficient manpower. We've already made provisions for that. This manpower will not just be in the downtown area.
This has been designated as worthy to get federal support, and because of that, we are here to help coordinate federal assets to support and cooperate with the CPD and all the other city officials.
Street closures will continue downtown throughout the week, so if you are traversing the city, keep those in mind. We have details on our website. And on New Year's Eve, 6 major bridges will shut down starting at 11:30 for about an hour for that synchronized fireworks display. Bridges include Columbus, LaSalle, and Wabash, so you won't be able to cross at that time. There are also free CTA rides, both trains and buses, on New Year's Eve until 4 a.m. New Year's Day. Live in the West Loop, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
It's going to be a busy night. Thank you, Casey. Father Michael Flager of St. Sabina says he wants answers after a shooting near the Auburn Gresham Church.
He's also taking a major step, canceling a popular program. Brett Boganski live near 79th in Racine. Brett.
Yeah, this is a much different scene from how it looked 24 hours ago. There was crime tape just down Racine over here, but Father Michael Flager told me today that men's league is no longer welcome at St. Sabina's, and there's going to be additional security measures in place moving forward for all the remaining athletic leagues that are happening at St. Sabina's, and that includes pat-downs at the door and bag checks. They already do this for a lot of the youth leagues, but now they're going to be doing this for any of the adult leagues moving forward. And Father Flager also told me today there is surveillance video of that shooting that happened just after 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And he said that this argument inside the gym involving some people, it appeared that it was resolved inside the gym, but that's when everybody went outside. At some point, somebody pulled out a gun, shot into the crowd, and ended up hitting 3 people. In that video, Father Pfleger told me there was a car involved, and they're hoping people come forward now and let Chicago police